Hi everybody, I'm Julia. Welcome to Julia in the Garden. We are at my table again today because it is time for planning. So in today's video, I'm going to take you through a little bit of planning what I'm planting in my potager this year. Now, I have been thinking about this for a while and I have some drafts, but I want to bring you along to show you how I plot it out and what I think about when planning the garden. So let's just do this. Okay, so this is an outline drawing I have done of my potager. I did one with graph paper, so it is actually to scale. And then I had to copy it and go over it a couple times. It took a while, but now I have copies of this and I keep blank ones so that I can copy it when I need it and just kind of play with it. And I also have what I was planning for last year and the year before, even though they don't end up exact. So one thing when you're doing the map, it doesn't, for vegetable gardening, I think in particular, it's helpful to have it to scale because then you can know how many you can fit in an area. And on my original, I also have marked out what the measurements are. So I have that handy in case I need it. But my other ones I haven't completely done to scale. I think that's okay. But one thing that's important to know in all of them is the direction. So for me, this is north, this is south, this is west, and this is east. I had to think about that for a minute. And it is really actually kind of square on the directions because our house is. So basically what that's going to tell me is if I have taller things, I don't want to put them here. Like I don't want to put a bunch of tall and vining plants here because it's going to probably shade things out here. And just know that when I'm planning things out. For example, I put my elder, this is an elder tree here, in the northwest corner. For that reason, I didn't want it shading things as it grew. So there's that. I'm going to next start by labeling things that I know are there. So this is a quince tree here. I already labeled that elder. And I know that there's going to be bulbs coming up around the quince. And they'll be there probably for May and June because there's daffodils and alliums in there. I know, let's see. I know that I have some hyssops here. Now we'll have to see. I'm thinking they're going to come back and a big catnip here. And then I have sage and thyme here. So I'm pretty sure these things are going to come back. Well, I guess we'll see. This is hyssop and this is anise hyssop. I did plant an echinacea here. I didn't really see it last year, so I'm just going to leave that off for right now. And I'll keep it in mind that it might be there. I'm trying to think of, asparagus. This is my asparagus bed here. So I've got a row of asparagus here and a row of asparagus here. And this is my strawberry bed. So there are two kinds of strawberries on either side, but it doesn't really matter because they're both strawberry. And then I have garlic in here right now. Okay, so I'm pretty sure that's all of my perennials and things that are going to come back. There might be a few things in my children's garden. Let me just mark, this is my children's gardens. So, okay, just pretend that's in the middle. Actually, probably is about there because I plant flowers here. But this is, let's see, T's garden. And this is Kay's garden. I don't know what I'm going to do in my littlest and the one I'm pregnant with get older because I don't want to give up more of my garden space. So I might need to make them a little garden space somewhere else on the property and take this back. But for right now, I've also given them kind of the equivalent over here for flowers. Okay, two other big things for this year that I want to keep in mind. First is that I decided I'm going to use some landscape fabric to kill some grass. And there's two areas I'm going to do this in. The first is I'm going to put it in all the paths. And we're going to see if I can like dig out, edge out the beds, bury the landscape fabric in. I would like to put mulch on it, but I'm debating whether or not to put mulch because I've heard that a lot of weed seeds grow in the mulch. But again, my biggest complaint is the grass. So I would honestly prefer to just use cardboard and mulch, but I think for at least a couple of years, I'm going to need the landscape fabric, because in other areas, using just the cardboard and mulch has not worked. So I'm hoping the landscape fabric will do a little better. We'll see. But I'm also going to cover, I'm going to actually lose part of my garden this year to do that. And that is, I'm going to cover completely this area here. So I'm foregoing the tunnel this year. And what I'm going to try to do is try to kill, this area over here is particularly weedy. I mean, a lot of it is weedy, but it's one trouble area. So here and then here, just going down straight like that and including the borders here. I'm going to cover this whole area this year with landscape fabric. And so that won't be plantable. And then my hope is that in the fall, we can at least take it off here to put, to build a little tunnel. I got some lumber to do that last year. We didn't get to it. So, yeah, that's my hope, is that doing it over the summer will kill it enough to then be able to make beds here with mulched pads in the middle. So, and we might end up leaving this part over winter and taking that out in the spring. I'll have to see what I'm thinking as far as fully killing all the grass. So I'm losing that part of the garden. So that's important to know for this year. And then the other thing is I'm going to put in some irrigation, some drip lines. And that's like a whole thing. I'm still researching exactly where I'm going to get everything from. But what I'm pretty sure I'm going to do is get main lines and then 1/4 inch drip line, because I want it to curve in some areas. So I think what's going to happen is it's going to come in here, and then I'm going to get one of those lock thingies to send out 2 main lines and have one essentially go here, and then the other will keep wrapping around this way and probably come a little bit farther that way. Or this one might come farther that way. I'm not entirely sure yet. We're gonna have to see how it works. And then I can have drip lines that go a little ways this way. But then I can like put drip lines throughout here, throughout these beds here, to over here to my pea and bean teepee. And then I'm gonna put one in here. I have an idea. So basically this is the area, and then up here I'm going to try to get drip line going all the way down here. That will be irrigated. So I know that I want to put plants there, that the plants that need more water and more consistent water. So that being said, I think what I'm going to do is put things like my many of my squash. I don't think they're all going to fit. My tomatoes, cucumbers, beans, things like that, watermelon in area with irrigation. So the other thought I had is I put pumpkins here the last 2 years, I think. Yes, I'm pretty sure I had pumpkins here the last 2 years. And last year, there was a lot of squash vine borers in this area. They were elsewhere too, but I think I'm going to put the pumpkins down here. So I'm going to start with that. I'm thinking I have room for 3 rows of pumpkins here. And then I realized I said this is like prime irrigation area, but there is a design element I really want to do. So I'm going to put cosmos on the edge here and snapdragons here. And so the idea is when you walk in this gate, they'll be lined with the flowers. So, and I'm going to try to do kind of like I don't know if ombre is the right word, but kind of graduated with the color. I don't know if I'm explaining that well at all. But anyway, these are pads in here in case we didn't know. These are all going to be pumpkins in here. And I have several different varieties, so I'm going to have to come back and decide what variety exactly is going where. It's not going to be as many as I would want to plant, but I honestly probably need a much bigger area for all the pumpkins I want to plant. So there's that. Okay, and then I decided that I'm gonna do I think I can do 3 rows. So here I'm gonna make trellises out of, I'm just gonna use kind of like what was in what my arch ended up looking like last year, where it's just the fencing on T-posts, connected to T-posts. And we're gonna see how that works this year. I did attach my tomatoes to some of the side fence last year and that worked well. I'm gonna try that. They're not as strong as cattle panels, but I think it should be fine. I'm debating how much space I have. So for right now, I'm just counting on having 3, but I think I might have more space than that. So I need to see. Maybe I need to go out and measure, because I actually ended up making this bed farther this way last year to be even with this. Somehow it wasn't even the first year. So I did all these measurements, and then when I put it out in the garden, it never really added up exactly. There was always these little things that were off. Anywho, so for right now, I'm just planning 3, but that could change. This is why I like to do a lot of this stuff in pencil. And it's going to be tomatoes and basil. And so I'm still debating. Let me show you the different ideas I have here. I could do tomatoes. I think I should be able to fit 6 across, like comfortably. It could be tomatoes and then like basil all along here. Or it could be like this, where it's I'm not doing this exactly how I meant to do it, but more like that, where I don't think I'm going to fit more tomatoes because they need to be attached to the trellis. And if I have 2 of them back to back on the trellis, that's probably not going to work out as well. But so, or like that. So I'm still debating in which way I want to do that. But, and then here is going to be cucumbers. Ooh. And I don't know as far as sizing, if like how close they're going to be to the snapdragons. If we have room for another trellis, I will either do another one of cucumbers or another one of tomatoes. We'll just have to see how it goes. I think I should be able to fit a fair number of cucumbers. I think like 20 on here. And so I have 3 different kinds, so I'll divide that up later as well. And I do want to put some borage and dill along the edges here. And actually here, I would love to just do like a really small row of sweet alyssum. And maybe also here on the side of my asparagus. So I think those are those beds pretty much. I'm thinking of more tomatoes here. And I think I was calculating I'd have room for about 8 to 10 more tomatoes there, along with doing ground cherries on either side of the fence. And I should be able to fit 2 on each side. And we have 2 varieties, so it'll be 1 variety on each side. While I'm here, I do want to mention here I have beds on the outside. And so my plan there is to do nasturtiums all down along the outside. And I might put some basils in too, but I'm thinking mainly nasturtiums, kind of just down there. Not the kind that climb, like I'm hoping there'll be bush nasturtiums. I'm not gonna plant the trailing ones there. Here we're gonna do eggplants and peppers, I should say. I'm not gonna grow too many of those. I think I should have room for like 3 of each. And 3 or 4 of each should be sufficient. And I'll have to decide on what varieties I want to grow. I have like a little bit of space here. Actually, I'm going to keep going with the eggplants and peppers here, and maybe that'll give me room for 4 each. So we'll see. And my kids' garden starts here. So I was thinking of putting cucumber melons and nasturtiums here, but as I've been thinking about it, I don't really want to shade out. My kids have flowers that'll probably come back there, and they'll probably want to plant them again. And I might not always give them that extra garden space, but I kind of want to for right now. So I might end up planting some other kind of viney thing here that's doesn't like just spaced farther apart that doesn't block, but I'm thinking cucumber melons are probably going to block them out pretty well. So I am hoping to instead, I'm going to try to do cucumber melons back here. Thing of cucumber melons. It might not be that much space. It might be farther over. What I'm doing this year for the most part is like putting things in the space that I have and then seeing how many I can plant in that space that I give them, instead of saying I need this many and where am I going to put it. Just because I'm trying to simplify for this year. I know I'm going to be having a baby. Okay. While I'm thinking back here, I'm just going to start filling in the raised beds. These are going to be potatoes. And these are going to be potatoes. Neither of them have had potatoes at least last year. I don't think either year. This is, again, third year these raised beds will be planted. I don't think it's had potatoes either year. So I don't always do crop rotation. I think in like a home garden, it's not fully necessary. But since I have been seeing some pests come up, I'm trying to pay a little bit of attention to that this year. I want to try this design where I do carrots in the middle. And again, I'm going to have to decide what varieties I'm putting where. There, and I think also this one I was going to do carrots, and then do onions along the edges, along the sides here. And I calculated it should give me enough room for onions. Doing it here, here, and then this is going to be beets in the middle instead of carrots. And then here I'm going to try the same kind of thing, but I'm going to do rutabaga and I'm going to do leeks. And garlic is already there, and I'm just going to make a note that when the garlic's out, I'm probably going to put some greens in for fall. Okay, let's see where we are. We've done that. Let's come back here and over here. All right, so this is all going to be beans, bush beans. And I think probably in the middle, I thought I had 4 varieties, but I'm actually low on some of them. So either I'm going to order them or I'm just going to do 3. And either way, I'm going to make sure I make some space for flowers here, but I don't know what kind yet. So I'm just going to put flowers. I was thinking of trying to put amaranth there, but I'm worried. I've seen it get really tall. And I don't want it to be too tall there. Although if I put it right even with the path, it might not be a problem. But anyway, I don't want to shade the bush beans either or crowd it out. So flowers there, continuing beans along until the end here. And then here I'm going to do some watermelon. I have, I believe, 3 varieties of watermelon. And I am going to try growing the sugar baby, which are the smallest ones, I think, up the fence, and then the other ones along the ground. So we're going to see how that works. Again, well, I don't know. Oh, and I think I also want to do the cantaloupe melon, the Nordic carm that my son tried to grow last year. I'll put, and other melon there. And yeah, I think I'm trying to give it a little bit more space than that. I do have marshmallow, or oh, I forgot to mark that in here because I think that'll come back. It's about here. So I'm going to leave that there. So I think I want to do peas in this whole section. So it might have to be like around the marshmallow. I need to do, maybe it'll be different varieties. So I was going to do peas, and then beans here, the pole beans, the green bean ones, I think. And then here, I want to leave a little space. I might be able to do it in front of the peas and beans, to be honest, but I want to do kale and chard. So just a little break for kale and chard there. We've got the cucumber melons over there. Yes, I was saying this is like the green pole beans, I'm thinking, and then the runner beans, the black runner beans, I'm going to put over here along with sugar snap peas. And these are going to be more shelling peas, just to be more specific there. And I may, so at some point I wanted to put a bench here. So I might try to put a bench in one of these places. And it might not be a bad idea to put it kind of in between the kale and chard and the marshmallow, to be honest. It might help shade the kale and chard a little bit so it doesn't get full heat. And I think I should be able to just put a little one in front of the piece, but it's not the top priority. If we move along, I'll show you. I do want to put for sure a bench here. And I want it to be backless so you could sit facing either way. And this is going to be an edible flower bed. Oh, I'm hoping I have bergamot or bee balm coming back here. So hopefully that comes back. Yeah, so this is supposed to be an edible flower bed growing around the bench, but obviously we'll need some space there. Oh, I wanted to put water in here because I want to put zucchini in here. And I think it would be helpful to have water. There should be room because I think these are the only perennials in the bed right now. And then we'll see if I can fit other herbs around it. There's going to be, I think I wanted to do, what was I thinking? I was thinking a line of calendula, I think, and a line of chamomile here. And then I might try to do a little bit more basil here. And if I need to, I can run just a drip line just to the basil here. The other herbs don't need to be watered. They actually will thrive on not being watered. But this could be, especially the Thai basil. I wanted to do some for my kids. So, oh, I forgot to mention, like the herb circle is pretty, so okay, I'm trying to remember exactly what's there right now. Because there's lady's mantle, and that's going to come back. And there's, I think, thyme and sage. I think it's in that order, will come back. There was calendula and chamomile here, which I'm hoping will reseed, but I'm still going to plant. I'm still going to start. If it doesn't come back, I will direct sow the chamomile, and I will have some calendula started anyway. So that's where we are on that one. And then I can try to fit more herbs in here, and in here, but I'm not going to plan out exactly what's going where at this point as far as the herbs. Okay. What do I have left? So, brassicas. So what I'm going to do with the brassicas is I'm going to use these beds. So I'm going to do cabbages. I think I was going to do cabbages in here. I did at some point calculate how many would fit, but I'm not entirely remembering. So I want to do rows like this of red and green cabbage, but then also in between have flowering herbs. What did I put here? Like marigold. I might just use marigold in this one. We'll find out, or it could be thyme. There's lots of different companion plants that could be good for brassicas. So I'm going to try some. I might alternate some different things. And so here I'm going to do broccoli and Brussels sprouts. So some of these, like these might be Brussels sprouts and these might be broccoli. We'll just have to see. And then again, I want to do herby flowers that are good companion plants of brassicas in between. So, it's hard to read that. Let's see, broccoli and Brussels sprouts. This year, I'm going to try, I have not had good luck with Brussels sprouts. The last 2 years, I've tried planting. The first year, I think I just planted too late, because I think I planted like well into August. But last year, I tried planting, I think it was in July, and they didn't make it, and it was probably just the dry weather. But this year I'm actually going to just try planting the Brussels sprouts at the same time I plant my other brassica, because my broccoli grew really well last year. So it will probably slow down in the heat of the summer, and it's going to depend on the weather, but maybe I'll actually get some Brussels sprouts. We'll see what happens. And then here I'm going to do a Three Sisters bed again. It was here last year because my kids really want corn. And so I might as well do some other things along with the corn. But I'm going to leave that open as far as I know we're doing a sweet corn this year. We're going to try sweet corn again. But I'm not sure which squash and beans we're going to put up there. It's probably going to end up being the runner beans is my guess. And maybe some smaller squash or pie pumpkins. We'll see. And then I always put zinnias here, and I'm going to do that again this year. I don't know why I decided I needed to write it that way. Well, maybe to try to make it legible. Sorry. I'm sorry if you can't read any of my handwriting. Hopefully you can hear me and I'm talking through. And then I'm going to try to sneak some squash over here. Spaghetti squash and acorn squash. And here I'm going to try to grow some little pumpkins up the fence. So again, this corn and these squash do need water, and they're not going to be in irrigation this year. So those will be things that I'll have to hand water. But if we at least reduce the number of things I need to hand water, I think that will be a huge help. And I do want to plant honey nut squash. I got some. It's the little butternut squash. And I'm going to sneak them here in between the asparagus rows, because this is a bed. And it was made for like walking in between the asparagus fronds as they grew. And so the downside is the asparagus could shade it out. And so for that reason, I might end up also sticking it in here. We will see how this all works. This is like a giant experiment, but mainly because I'm sacrificing this part of the garden to try to kill some grass this way. In future years, in the next few years, I might rotate what portions I'm covering if the grass continues to be a major problem. But I am hopeful, and it also just reduces my work this year because I've blocked this whole area out. But I'm hopeful that putting the landscaping fabric in, edging out beds and along all the edges will help. So that's my hope. I think the last thing I wanted to add here is in front here. I'm going to do zinnias on both sides. This is going to be a giant row of zinnias, and I want to build an arbor. We're going to see if this happens, but theoretically I want to build an arbor here and put some climbing plants on it. And I don't know exactly which climbing flowers yet, but that's a goal. Oh, I almost forgot one more thing around here. So I left space around the outside when I was planting the bulbs, and I think that's just all going to be nasturtiums. Okay, so that is what I have. Again, I have already started. I'm going to be going through and just like estimating how much space I have, and how many plants I can put in each place. That might seem backwards. It's just how I decided to do it this year. For example, I'm pretty sure I can fit like 60-ish bush beans along there. I hope that was helpful for you looking at how I plan out my garden. With the vegetable garden in particular, I forgot to mention, I don't have memorized for most plants how far apart they go. I know for some, so I just look it up whenever I'm trying to figure out, okay, I have this much space, how many go there? So I would look up, and for example, my onions, they should go 4 to 6 inches apart. So that's what I was using as a guideline to see how many onions I can grow. So I'm going to be continuing to do that with each crop, but I didn't want to go through all of it with you because that would take a long time. The next video I want to share with you will be on my seed starting schedules. But until then, I hope you all stay well. Happy gardening.